Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all in the live virtual classes of Paper 3, CA Final Advanced Auditing Assurance and Professional Ethics. Today, I am here to announce something for you that we are coming for a quiz, Audit Brainstorm quiz tomorrow at 11 a.m. in BUS for Success, which we also call Success at CA Examination for the paper September 2025, which is there on tomorrow. So I request you all to please join that quiz. You all are going to benefit from that quiz, and it will be live. So you all need to scan from your phone. A scan code will be there, which will provide in the session only. You are required to scan and then opt the answers. So I request you to please come tomorrow at 11 a.m. Join Success at CS exams and get the benefit from that quiz. So, not taking much time, I request Harsha sir to please start the session. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Students, please note this and please participate in the quiz. It's very important. Okay, so do participate and attend. Okay, so let's start the session and start the today's discussion. Good evening, everyone. So, what we are going to do today? First, I will take a quick recap and quick discussion of what we have discussed till now. So, we will solve some questions, descriptive one from the topics that we have already discussed, so that I can say that you guys have gone through it, you guys have learned it, you guys have read it. Okay, and then we will continue forward. Okay, so basically what we discussed till now, just to provide a quick recap. Okay, we discussed about various provisions of the code of ethics. I'll quickly go through it. We have discussed now various provisions of the code of ethics. Okay, we discussed about the parts of the code of ethics. We discussed about then the fundamental principles: integrity, objectivity, professional competency, due care, confidentiality, professional behavior. We discussed each and every fundamental principle in detail. Then we went ahead and discussed about threats to the fundamental principle, various threats. Remember the five type of threats that we discussed. We discussed the examples of the threats, which are also given in your module. Then we talked about evaluation of the threats, acceptable level, reasonable and informed third party test, addressing the threat. So how to bring a threat, how to respond to a threat. Okay, then we discussed about the NOCLAR, that is non-compliance with laws and regulations. Over there, we discussed about professional accountant in public practice, professional accountant in service, both. After that, we discuss about some important facts about with respect to what to do and how to respond to no compliance. So we understood what is non-compliance with laws and regulation, and then we understood how to respond to non-compliance. Then we discussed about the comparison with SA 250 that is applicable in the case of audit. Okay. After that, we discussed about the various provisions of the Chartered Accountants Act. We discussed about the disability. We discussed about the register. We discussed about the type of memberships. We discussed about the removal of name, then restoration. We also discussed about penalty for falsely claiming to be a member. In that case, we again discuss about the significance of the COP with an example. Then we discussed about cancellation and restoration of COP, like in which cases it can be cancelled. We discussed about deemed to be in practice, the definition of deemed to be in practice. Then we discuss about management consultancy service. What are the management consultancy services? Then we discussed about your very important topic, that is a comparison with 144 and management consultancy services, section 144 of the Companies Act. We discussed a question on that also. Then we discussed about companies not to engage in accountancy or in practice. Okay, and in that case we discussed like what if the LLP is there, what if the company is a partner of LLP. Okay, we discussed all those things. Then we discussed about maintenance of branch office. We discussed about the exemption, hilly area exemption. We discussed about the normal exemption within the city or 50-kilometer radius. Okay, remember. Then we touched upon KYC norms, the category, the general information, engagement information, regulatory information. Okay, and then we started with the schedules, and we took and we prepared a summary of the first schedule. Now, in today's session, we will go through clause by clause in detail. Okay, but this was the summary. This was the summary of the section. Okay. Uh, am I not audible? Okay. Mega, I think you need to check at your end. I am the sound is proper over here. Okay.
You you are audible, sir. Very much audible.
I'm audible, no? Okay. Okay. So that is what we discussed till now. And now the first thing is I will be doing is we'll be taking some questions. Okay. Very important questions so that we can understand how to write the answer in these scenarios. What to write about the answers. Okay. Just let me share the screen or just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Sorry. Okay. So here we will be discussing one important question. Okay. And then accordingly, we will take up all the questions. So the question is TP Limited is a listed company engaged in the business of manufacturing of kids garment under the brand name of MM Messrs R MM Messrs R and Associate firm. Okay, firm of a chartered accountants. Okay, sorry. So Messrs R and Associate firm of chartered accountants are appointed as a statutory auditor of the company for the year 23-24. So the brand name is MM and Messrs R and Associate chartered accountants are appointed as an auditor of the company. CAR is looking after the audit of the company. Okay. During the audit, CAR observed that there are number of notices received from the GST department and income tax department for various issues. Further, during plant visit, CAR observed that few child laborers are engaged in some of the activity. In response to the observation made, CAR followed the procedure as envisaged in SA 250, considerations of laws and regulations in an audit of financial statement. According to CAR, the provisions of SA 250 and the provisions of NOCLAR, that is non-compliance with laws and regulations under revised code of ethics, are one and the same. You need to tell me, do you agree with that? And if not, then you need to provide your comments. So do you think the provisions of NOCLAR and the SA 250 are same? Okay. And then if you say yes, fine. If you say no, then you need to justify why no. Yes. So I would give you 1 minute to read the question again and then tell me the answer. What do you think you will write the answer for this question? Come on. Take a 1 minute, read the question. Okay. So now tell me, what do you think? Are the provisions of SA 250 same as the NOCLAR?
No, they are not exactly same.
No, sir. They are not same. The 250 is different and no car is different.
Okay. So what are the difference? Can anyone tell me?
Sir, SA 250 is mainly for audit.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah.
And NOCLAR?
No car is applicable for when the professional accountant in service and in practice.
Okay. Okay. What else do you think is a difference between both of them? Okay, this is the one point. It is applicable to audit. The second is applicable to professional accountant. What else?
Sir, no clause is relating to non-compliance of the investor, creditors, employee, the general publics.
Okay. Yes. Anyone else? Any other differences
Uh,
that you think are relevant?
Asset 250 is basically related to like those items which have an impact on material amounts in the financial statements. However, no
Hmm.
CLAR is for all kind of financial and non-financial consequences is being considered in case of no CLAR.
Okay. 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 Very good. Very good. So most of you have like already provided that they are not same. They are different. Okay. So not same. Nuclear applicable to audit and assurance. SA 250 applicable to both. Very good, Geet. Okay. Yeah. Very good. So let me tell you the difference between both and why they are not same, because we need to understand this point in detail, the difference between the nuclear and the SA 250, when and what is applicable when. Okay. So when I talk about nuclear, first of all, understand that in case of a nuclear, nuclear is applicable by way of code of ethics. So it is not only applicable to the audit, it is applicable to all assurance engagements. So when I talk about professional accountant in public practice, so nuclear is applicable over there. However, there is a restriction the applicability, okay, which is as of now applicable to the listed entities. Okay. But if you talk about applicability of the NOCLAR or the code of ethics, it is applicable to all. Second, NOCLAR is also applicable to professional accountant in service. So it is not necessary that SA 255 has a restricted, limited scope of audit only, but NOCLAR is having a wider scope compared to SA 250. Number two, NOCLAR basically, as of today, talks about non-compliances. Now, these non-compliances can be any nature, which can cause harm to the entity, which can cause serious consequences in the financial or non-financial terms. NOCLAR talks about all type of non-compliances which can cause a serious consequence. Now, when I talk about SA 250, SA 250 divides the laws and regulations in two categories. One, they have a direct effect. Another, they have they may be fundamental to the operating aspects, but they don't have the direct effect, or we call it the indirect one. Okay. Other laws and regulations, basically. Now, for the direct laws and regulations, you have certain things to check. For the other laws and regulations, again, you are not required to check their compliances, but anything if comes into the picture, then you need to consider. So over there, this bifurcation is there. But in NOCLAR, you don't have such bifurcation of direct laws and regulations or laws and regulations having material or direct impact. Second is other laws and regulations. Okay. NOCLAR does not define the stakeholders. That means that NOCLAR does not say that, non-compliance to whom? Non-compliance to entity, non-compliance to investors, non-compliance to employees. It doesn't talk about that. It is talk about that SA 250 talks about the material amounts and the disclosure of the financial statement. So SA 250 is restricted to the financial statement. When I talk about no CLAR can be non-compliance to the investors, or impact of non-compliance to the investors, impact of non-compliance to the employees, impact of non-compliance to the company as a whole. So it has a wider scope when it comes to the non-compliance. Okay. And in case of imminent breach, like it's a very serious breach or it's continuing breach, at that point in time, NOCLAR also puts that you have to discuss the matter with management, those charged with governance, and you may also need, if required, then you may also need to report to the appropriate authority. Now, such things, the term imminent breach, okay, the term imminent breach or such kind of scenario is not there in SA 250. So that provision is not present. As a result, SA 250 has a restriction or restricted terms compared to no CLAR. If you have to write the answer for this particular question, you will write by providing these points. Now, again, you have to think of the marks which are there. Okay, what are the marks for the question? And accordingly, you need to write. So if I talk about the marks, in the current scenario, you have 4 marks. Okay. So first you will write what is the situation, what is the scenario basically. You will write about the scenario. In the given situation, CAR is looking for the audit of TP and all these things, whatever we discussed. Okay, we will write all that particular case scenario. And then we will write about the distinction, about the points or differences that we feel. For example, as I said, SA 250 only applicable to audit, but not on other assurance engagement. Now, NOCLAR, as I said, it is a code of ethics. So irrespective of your type of engagement, it is applicable. Okay, so it is applicable to accountant in service and practice both. Similarly, that we discussed about SA 250 talks about direct laws and regulations and other laws and regulations. So laws and regulations having direct effect and other laws and regulations. That is the SA 250. But no CLAR does not have that bifurcation. No CLAR, it talks about all the non-compliances, takes into account all the non-compliances that might be financial or non-financial in terms. Again, SA 250 does not talk about stakeholders, or it only talks about material impact on the financial statement, whereas no CLAR talks about the stakeholders, the impact. And the last point is that no CLAR is basically talks about the imminent breach that we discussed, but the same is not present in SA 250. Okay, so these are the differences between both. Any doubt? I hope you understood how the answer is. Any doubt?
Sir, and also that no CLAR is applicable to the listed entities, whereas the
Yes.
SA 250 is applicable for audit, even it is listed or other listed companies.
Yes, absolutely. See, so that is one also. As of now, the applicability has been restricted, but that doesn't mean it will remain restricted. As if you see the code of ethics, it's applicable on all the engagement. It is not engagement specific. SA is an engagement specific. Code of ethics is not an engagement specific one. I hope I have answered. Any other doubt, guys? Did you understand how to write this particular answer? How to write the answer for this question? Okay, great. So if no doubts and yeah, okay, great. If no doubts, then this was the point that I wanted to make you understand. See, whenever you have a question, always focus on what is asked. So for example, over here, if you see what is asked is like the differences which are there. According to CAR, the provisions of no CLAR and revised code of ethics are one and same. So they are asking about difference over here. So you need to write accordingly and you need to give your comments for the 4 marks. That's how you need to write the answer, by understanding what is asked. Okay, so let's take one more question. I kind of a quick revision with respect to what we have understood, you can say, and then we will proceed for the other topics. Now the question in terms of subsection 114 or revised codes of ethics, a professional accountant shall comply with the principle of confidentiality, which requires an accountant to respect the confidentiality of information acquired as a result of professional and employment relationship. Confidentiality serves public interest because it facilitates the free flow of information from the professional accountant's client or employing organization to the accountant, in knowledge that the information will not be disclosed to a third party. In this context, enumerate the circumstances where professional accountant are or might be required to disclose confidential information. Okay, confidential information, or when such disclosure might be appropriate. in deciding whether to disclose confirmation information, what are the points that should be kept in mind of professional accountant? So again, take a minute, read the question again, and then try to answer. Okay. So I hope you have read the question. So tell me, what are the circumstances where professional accountants are required to disclose confidential information, and when such disclosure might be appropriate? That is a part one. Part two, that you are required to provide information and points that should be kept into the mind when professional accountants are disclosing or when they decide to disclose.
Sir, confidentiality is talks about the is one of the ethical subsection 114.
Yeah.
Rightly mentioned in the question also 114.
Yes.
Yes, he has to maintain the confidentiality over the during the period of the probation, as well as the when he out of the probation also he will maintain. See the professional duty and right to disclose. See, there are certain situation the professional accountant can disclose his matter. When there is a peer review committee or quality review, they are asking the information. That time they can disclose it, and any inquiry or investigation during the professional and any technical and professional standard, including whenever we need to comply, we need to we can disclose it. And whenever there is a laws and regulation is required, we need to consult with the client, getting the approval, then they can disclose it. Otherwise, the professional accountant should not disclose any confidential matter.
Yep. Very good. Very good. Yes, correct. I have also received answers. Very good, Geet. Very good, Pitambar. Okay. Uh, Very good, Khushi. Yes. So you have given the correct answers, appropriately correct. See, what we have discussed, I think you guys have read it. That's really good. And I'm happy for that. So when I talk about confidentiality, we have seen in subsection 114 of Revised Code of Ethics that what is the principle of confidentiality. Now, when you have to write the answer, now let's understand about this particular answer, how to write it. Okay, when you have to write the answer, then in that case, you first explain a bit about the principle of confidentiality, and then you write about the circumstances where professional accountant are or might be required to disclose information. Okay, so in this particular scenario, if you see, when a professional accountant is required to disclose the information, basically professional accountant is required to disclose the information when either it is required by law, disclosure is permitted by law, and authorized by the client. Means client says that, oh, no, okay, disclose. Okay. Second, there is a duty of the professional accountant to disclose. Now, where there is a duty of professional accountant to disclose, the duty of professional accountant to disclose lies with the one peer review quality review board. So if peer review tomorrow asks for the information, quality review board asks for the information, professional accountant has to discuss, has to disclose. Investigation by regulatory authority, professional accountant is required to disclose. Okay. Now, for legal proceedings, if there are any, to protect the interest of the professional accountant, he will disclose. And to comply with the technical and professional standards, including ethical requirement. That means, for example, if when I say talk about technical, professional, including ethical requirements, can anyone tell me what are the scenarios, or what you can think the scenario where a professional accountant might disclose the information under the technical professional standards or ethical standards. Apart from what we have discussed, apart from peer review, quality review, apart from investigation, apart from legal proceedings, what else can you think? Like apart from disclosure required by law, what is one of the scenario? There is one specific scenario where he might disclose confidential information.
Modification of the report, जो emphasis of when they are modifying the report, they need to describe the matters in respect to which the report is being modified.
Yes, but again, see, if I talk about confidential information, if confidential information is something which is not there, okay, which is not required to be disclosed and kept confidential. If it is the information which is related to the financial statement, then at that point in time, it cannot be a confidential information. I cannot say that don't disclose my revenue number or sales number. Is it confidential? So that will not be the case. But having said that, there is near to, your answer is near to that what I'm saying. Okay, Geet. Yep, could be, but not that is already covered. So disciplinary action or other misconduct is kind of legal proceedings where the professional accountant will, to protect his interest, will disclose. Anyone else? To comply, when I say to comply with the technical and professional standards, is there any technical or professional standard which require you to disclose the information? Think of a scenario.
Related to fraud?
Related to fraud, that is disclosure required by law. Section 143 subsection 12 requires you to disclose the information relating to fraud in a company. Okay, so for fraud by law, for company there is a law, but apart from the company, now you are getting on the point. Apart from the company, if that is fraud and that has some confidential information, then you need to refer to SA 240. Now, wherever you refer to a standard, you may say that to comply with the technical requirement. I'll give you one more good example. That is, in case of the group audits, you are an audit of a subsidiary entity. You have some information that is required by the auditor of the group entity for the purpose of consolidation. In that case, you are required to share that information, and that is already covered by your engagement letter. So these kind of scenario, in case of a joint audit, you have some information, you have obtained some information. Now you can share with the other auditor, because SA 299 says that in case of a joint audit, you have to share the information with the other auditor. Okay, so to comply with the technical and professional standards, you are required to disclose that information.
And also using the expert opinion, SA 620.
Yes, correct. Absolutely correct. So when you have already signed an agreement with an expert, confidentiality agreement with an expert, you have appointed for the purpose of audit. Absolutely correct. So these are scenarios where to comply with the technical and professional standards, you have to disclose the information, or you can disclose the information. Okay. Now coming to the second question, that is, what are the factors or the points that you will consider when you will decide whether to disclose or not? So what are the things you will keep in mind that will decide whether to disclose or not? Come on. What are those matters or points? What are the matters you think that will be relevant, okay, to discuss or to think of before disclosing, or whether deciding, in case of deciding whether to disclose or not? Very good, Murna. Very good, Khushi. Yes. Very good, Mruna.
Sir, we need to consider, yeah, we need to consider whether when you are disclosing information, interest of the any third party which is affecting or not, including the client situation. When we
Yeah.
disclose that information, if gives any impact on that, we need to think about it, sir.
Okay. Yes, very good.
See, to whom we are communicating this confidential information, that is also very important.
Hmm. Okay, I'll tell you. Very good. Your points were absolutely correct. Now, when you decide, when you are deciding whether to disclose or not, the important points are, as you correctly said, that the parties and their interest that might be affected. So there is in confidential information. If you are disclosing that information, someone will get affected. Like it is the information of the company, someone is going to get impacted. Either it's the company, it's the shareholders, or anyone. Okay, so you need to understand who is that person or the stakeholders who are getting impacted. Second, the relevance of the information. Now, relevance of the information means, oh, okay. So the relevance of the information means, can you please mute if someone is unmute? Thank you. Okay. So when I talk about the relevance of the information, that particularly means that the information that you are sharing, okay, is that information available with you, or is that information exact information? See, when I talk about confidential information, it could be partial information. You have the information, but that is partial, that is not complete. Okay, you have, let's say for example, company is going to launch a project. For that, they are going to invest heavily in the capital expenditure, like they are going to do a heavy capital expenditure. What amount? You don't know. What type of capital expenditure? You don't know. So before disclosing, understand whether do you have the correct and the full information or not. Let's say if I'm required to disclose the information for the purpose of investigation or inquiry by a regulatory authority, do I have the full and correct information? It could be a confidential information, but it could be partial also. So understand that what is the information that you are holding. Third is the type of communication and to whom it is addressed, like to whom you are disclosing, whether the regulatory body, institute, court in the legal proceedings, or to joint auditor, to group auditor, audit expert, to whom you are disclosing, and the mode of communication or type the communication, written, oral, or whatever is there. Okay, and these are the points that you need to consider before deciding whether to disclose or not. Now, how to write the answer? Again, we will see here, it is the 5 marks question. In that case, you are expected to write 5 to 7 points. Okay, first, when I talk about subsection 114, you already have some information in your question. Okay, use that information. So if you have already information that section 114 is there, you use that information and write about subsection 114 and fundamental principle about the confidentiality. You write something on that, and then you start your answer that these are the circumstances, following are the circumstances where professional accountant might be required to disclose, and then you specify one by one: required by law, by employing organization when permitted, okay, then institute, regulatory body, legal proceedings to comply with technical and professional standards. That is your point number one, question number one. And second, this is from here you have a second question. Always read your question carefully, and when you have two different things being asked, when you have two different things being asked in a question, separate your answer appropriately. This kind of separator is required to demonstrate that yes, you have two different questions asked in the in the main question, and you are answering that in a two different scenarios, like two different sections. Then you write deciding whether to disclose the information in following points, and you write the points that we discussed right now. So always see what are the questions that is being asked. From here, if I talk about this red one, is the question number 1 that for which you already answered. Here in deciding whether to disclose, till here, the green one will be question number 2, for which you have to answer in a separate section, distinguishing that it's a separate, separate points for this particular part. Okay, so this is how you have to answer. Any doubt, any questions you have, how to answer these questions? Any doubt on this? Any doubt? No? All clear? Okay. If all clear, we now will move to the discussion of the topic. Okay. We will now take up the discussion. Now we will go to the clause by clause that we discussed, the summary that we prepared in the last session. Now we will take it that up. So we will start with the first schedule, part 1, clause 1. And here I would request everyone to take your models out, like keep your models open, because we will go through the module. Okay. Okay. Now tell me quickly, quick recap. What is clause 1 for the part 1 first schedule? What is the clause 1 talks about?
Allows a non-chartered accountant to practice in his name.
Allows any person to practice in his name as a chartered accountant unless such person is a chartered accountant in practice in his partnership or employed by him.
Very good, very good. So the clause 1 is basically allows any person to practice in name as chartered accountant unless such person is also a chartered accountant in practice and is in partnership with or employed by him. Now this is, we will start from the first schedule, that is on page number 19.43. Open that. Now here, remember, whenever you have to write the answer also, you need to remember what are the clauses. So summary we have, but there are some important aspects that I will also highlight over here, and you also highlight with me while understanding the clause itself. So the clause says that if you allow anyone to practice in your name as a chartered accountant, okay, unless that person is a CA in practice, and this is very important part. Here the condition is not only the CA in practice. Okay, here the condition is that CA in practice and is in partnership with or employed by him. Okay, so either he should be CA in practice. Okay, then in that case either he should be in partnership or employed by him. So the first condition that CA in practice should be there. There is no doubt in that. And you have this plus sign over here. That means it's demonstrate that the person who is signing on your behalf, either he should be in practice or he has to be in practice, either he is in partnership, your partner, or employed. And very good summary which is given over here, that is, if that person is a CA in practice, okay, partner he is allowed, employee he is allowed, others not allowed, because CA in practice can only partner and employee be allowed to sign on your behalf. If he is not a CA in practice, directly not allowed. Matter over. Okay. So if you allow any person to practice in your name as a chartered accountant, unless such person is also a chartered accountant in practice and in partnership with or employed by him, in that case, you can allow, otherwise you cannot allow. Now here, we will be writing the answers, like we will be using this term. Remember, the terms that I'm highlighting are important. Okay, so I'll highlight in orange for you guys. These are the key terms. Do not change a word from it. This has a specific meaning attached to it. For example, this chartered accountant in practice is deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. This particular term, like whenever we will write answer, we will specify if it is pertaining to part 1, part 2, part 3 of first schedule, part 1, part 2 of second schedule, that he will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Not only misconduct, do not write only misconduct, like deemed to be guilty of misconduct. It can be, if you write deemed to be guilty of misconduct, it can be professional and other both, like any can be. So that's why do not use that particular term. Use a specific term. Specific term. Okay. So that was your clause 1. And sorry, the second thing is remember the clause numbers. That is required. Remember the clause numbers. Clause 1, that is allows to any person to practice in his name. Okay. Now quickly tell me clause number 2. What is clause 2?
So it's a pay or allows to pay directly, indirectly, any share or commission other than a member of institute. And I think there are some specified people, but for them we can pay it to the professional in India or outside India.
Very good. So if I talk, let's go back to our summary also. What we wrote is pay or agree to pay commission to any person. Exception were member, partner, retired partner, legal representative of the deceased partner, and specified person. If you pay or agree to pay commission to any person, in that case, you will be held guilty of professional misconduct. Okay. Now let's go back to the module and read the whole detailed clause and understand the nuances of that. So it says that pay or allows or agree to pay or allows. Okay, so it's not only pays or agrees to pay as we have written in the summary, that is for the summary purpose, but it says it pays, allow. Allow means if you allow to pay someone on your behalf also, or if you allow that, okay, to person that receive from you. So it's a bigger term. Or agrees to pay or allow to pay. Okay. In that case, the second part is very important over here. That is directly or indirectly. Directly or indirectly. Not necessary that you are paying directly. If I pay to someone else and he then pays to someone else, that is also indirectly paying. Or if I ask someone to pay on my behalf, indirectly paying. So not only directly, but indirectly. In the like commission, brokerage in the fees, profit of his professional business to any person. Okay, so these are the important part. Commission, any share, commission, brokerage in the fees, profit of his professional business to any person. Now this is the exception part that I was talking about. We will see the exception. Other than the member of institute or a partner, retired partner, legal representative of the deceased partner, or any member of a other professional body, member of any other professional body, or with such other persons having such qualification as may be prescribed. Okay. And then too, this is very important, for the purpose of rendering such professional services. So you are not paying just okay, I'm paying it, but you are paying for the purpose of rendering professional service. So if they are rendering professional service, and in lieu of that, if you are paying any share, commission, brokerage in fees, or profit in from your professional business to either member of institute, partner, retired partner, legal representative of the deceased partner, or to any member of other professional bodies. Now this is where it becomes important. What is member of other professional bodies and where it is specified? Okay. See, member of other professional bodies basically is specified in your regulation 53A1. The regulation 53A1 specifies which are these particular members and which are these particular professional bodies to whom you can pay or you are allowed to be paid. Okay. And you have this regulation 53 A over here, Regulation 53A of Chartered Accountants Regulation 1998. Okay, which defines like which are those professional bodies to whose member you can pay. Okay, so here you have the list of professional bodies. Now, if anyone is a member of these professional bodies, you can pay to them. Straightforward. Now, which are these? You have an Institute of Company Secretaries of India, ICSI. You have an Institute of Cost and Works Accountant, ICWAI. Okay. Bar Council of India, BCI. Indian Institute of Architects, IIA. Again, Institute of Actuaries of India, IAI. Okay. And these are the 5 which are specified over here. These are the 5 professional bodies which are specified under Regulation 53A. So when I talk about member of any other professional bodies, you should be, okay, Regulation 53A. Members of other professional body, Regulation 53A. That should be the scenario. Now, second is with such persons having such qualification. With such other persons having such qualifications as may be prescribed. Okay. Now, where this has been prescribed, like qualifications. So basically, the qualifications are again prescribed in Regulation 53A, but that is Regulation 53A(3). Over there, you have a qualifications prescribed, like which are those qualifications or persons qualified to whom you can pay. So that is Regulation 53A(3) of CA regulations. Now, again, what are these qualifications? Here, having such qualifications or qualified persons, that is, first is your company secretary, cost accountant, actuary, bachelor's in engineering from any university, bachelor's in technology, BTech, okay, bachelor's in architecture, bachelor's in law, and MBA, master's in business administration. So these are the qualifications which are prescribed. So when you have to write the answer for the clause 2, remember, it's not only the professional bodies. Some might only write, okay, CA, CS, advocate, architect. If paid and allowed to be paid, then they only write those things. But no, it is not such case. It is you have to write this particular part. The keyword that I'm talking about is member of other professional bodies, and with such other professionals, with such other persons having such qualification as may be prescribed. These are the specific terms that are required to be specified. Okay. Now that is your clause 2, but there are 2 more things we need to understand. One is when you pay to a retired partner. Second, when you pay to a legal representative of the deceased partner. Can anyone tell me, when do you pay to a retired partner? When you have to pay to the retired partner? Anyone? Anyone? When do you pay to retired partner? When he is retiring from the firm? Very good. Yes, absolutely. When he has retired from the firm and you have to pay as per the agreement, you pay to him share of profit or sale of goodwill, like you pay to him in the name of goodwill or his capital, whatever it is there.
Yeah, at the time of modification of the partnership deed, the person outgoing partner, we need to pay for him. The incoming partner will join.
Absolutely correct. Yes. Now tell me one thing: when do you pay to a legal representative of the deceased partner?
See, after his death, the professional can be continued by the legal heirs. Then such a situation, he is entitled to receive.
Absolutely correct. Yes.
The goodwill within a 1 year, the name also he can be retained. The same name also is there.
Yes, very good. So now for that, there is a specific scenario. Like, see, if there is a partnership firm, one partner dies, rest can continue, pay to the legal representative of the deceased partner. Now over there, I would write if permissible by partnership agreement. If it is permissible by partnership agreement and you pay, there is no issue. Okay, so here I will say star mark, and here mention that only if permissible by partnership agreement. Okay, so you can pay, not an issue. Now tell me one thing, if I talk about it's not a partnership, there is one scenario specific I'll be talking about where it was a sole proprietorship. The sole proprietor died, the firm was sold, the goodwill was sold, and the payment is required to be made to the legal representative, okay, of the member of institute or the sole proprietor. Now that is given by this particular wonderful chart over here, that is a treatment of goodwill. Now this particular partnership firm, that is we discussed about the legal representative of the deceased partner, okay. Only if the partnership agreement contains such provisions. If partnership agreement permits, you can pay, not an issue, perfectly fine. Rest of the partners can continue. Now, what if it was a proprietorship firm? That is, proprietor died, legal representative of that proprietor has to receive the money from a person who is a member of institute who bought that goodwill. So you are talking about amount paid by member to legal representative of another member, because he's no longer there, so we are paying to the legal representative. In that case, okay, you need to understand there are scenarios given, like in which scenario what happens. Okay, now let's say you can sell, it is allowed, you can sell goodwill of a proprietorship or can be transferred to any other member, goodwill of the proprietorship firm, it can be transferred. Now there are conditions, like if death of proprietor has occurred after 1998, okay, and there is no dispute, and death occurs after 1998 but there is a dispute to the legal here, and the last example is that has occurred before 1998. If the death was occurred after 1998 and there is no dispute, if you have completed the sale within, you have to complete the sale within 1 year. Okay, so you have to complete all in all respect within 1 year of the death, the sale, then only you can receive the amount. Okay, not an issue, you can receive the amount. If there is a dispute, okay, you need to inform that okay, there is a dispute, and in that case you need to inform about the dispute within 1 year of the death. Within 1 year of the death of the proprietor, you need to inform information as to the existence of the dispute, you need to inform that, and till 1 year after the settlement of dispute, the name will be kept so that you can sell the name or you can sell the goodwill. So 1 year from the date of settlement of dispute, you can sell the goodwill, that is perfectly fine. Beyond which there will be, the name will not be reserved and can be used by anyone, so you cannot sell the name, basically you cannot sell the goodwill. Okay, now what if it is before 29th August 1998, very old, which is very old. Over there you need to take a permission, understand, as of now you need to take a permission, that's it. Okay, so this is how the sale of goodwill and receiving the amount can happen. Okay, this is how the whole scenario works in case of goodwill or share of profit. Clear? Any doubt?
Sir, I have one query relating to Regulation 53A1. It's talk about the professional body member, such a member. Till now, only there are 5 such a professional bodies there. But however, when we talk about the 53A class 3, It's 8 is there. What is the relevance over here? Only there the 5 only is prescribed. However, in here is the 8 is there. What is the relevance?
See, okay. Now, why there are 5 and why there are 8? Okay, I'll tell you the reason. See, when I talk about members of such other professional bodies, over here, this is included because of the professional partnership firm. If you want to create a multi-professional partnership firm, you can create and you can pay to them if you want to have an arrangement between them. That's why members of professional bodies are engaged. But there are certain qualifications which are of professional, but they don't have one specific body. For example, simple example, if I talk about architect, architectures are there. Like in even RERA also, you works with a lot of architecture. In that particular scenario, like if there is a sharing or if there is something which is done with that particular architecture, then yes, you can do it within the regulation 53A3. But do they have a single body like the CA has, like the CS has, like bar council has? Do they have single body architects? Answer is no. So that's why they are covered by the qualification. So qualification will cover more compared to your professional bodies.
Sir, however, I personally felt that the giving the professional body one side and giving the prescribed list of professionals in the other list, which seems to be is, not relevant. See, what I feel that when it's a prescribed is 8, only such professional body only 5. That is the regulation 53A subclass 1, which I feel it is not needed when it is prescribed.
That is topic of another discussion. But as of now, you can say that regulation 53A1 and regulation 53A3 are both there for the clause 2. Okay.
It's actually confusing. That's what I could not understand the relevance over here.
See, the scenario is both of have different purpose. 53A talks about the bodies. So one, if you are a member, you can actually interact with that member by sharing. But 53A3 goes one step beyond. Okay, let's say for example, Bachelor of Engineering, Bachelor of Technology and Architecture. Do you have a professional one single body? Answer is no. In that case, that doesn't mean they are not professionals. They are also professional. That's why they are covered beyond 53A1. They are covered in 53A3 over and above 53A1.
Yes, sir. It's actually good only. We are having more such a professional to have a joint relationship with the pay and allow the fees.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other doubts? Any other scenario? Any other questions on clause 2? Clear? Okay. If no further doubts, then one particular part that I want to discuss over here is that what if you are paying to the government? What if we are paying to the government for your audit? So in certain scenarios, you are required to pay to the government for the purpose of audit. Like you are getting the assignment, so you have to deposit some amount that is then used and utilized by the government against the admin expenditures. So how will you treat that amount?
Yeah, that is not a tantamount to professional misconduct, sir.
Okay. Anyone else with a different answer or anything else further to add? Okay. Yes, absolutely correct. So that is not a professional misconduct, that is allowed. Reason because you are sharing and the government, certain government assignment, government audits or government engagements requires that. So that is perfectly fine. Okay. Now let's go to the clause number 3. Clause number 3. What we had in the summary and what then we have, are going to discuss, that we will compare. Here we are talking about accept or agree to accept commission from anyone except for the members and specified person. If you accept or agree to accept commission from anyone, you will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Okay, now let's come to the study material, your page number 19.47. Here we will read the clause, we will understand the nuances, and then we will discuss further. So the clause says that if you agree to accept any part of the profits of professional work, remember this particular part, this is very important. Okay, any part of the profits of professional work of a person who is not a member of institute. Okay, in that case you will be deemed to be held guilty of professional misconduct. However, there is a proviso, provided that nothing here contained shall be construed as prohibiting a member from entering into a profit sharing or other similar arrangements, including receiving any share, commission, brokerage in the fees, okay, from member of such professional bodies other than or other persons having such qualifications as referred into item number 2. That means regulation 53A1, regulation 53A3. These are the ones which are prescribed over here. That is your regulation 53A1, and this is regulation 53A3. Okay, so that is already prescribed. So if you share with them, perfectly fine. Now, where is a member of institute? So my summary talked about that. Okay, to member and specified person. Now, where is this member term is coming from? This is coming from here, that who is not a member of institute. That means member of institute is allowed. Now remember, here the term that I'm talking here is the member of institute. Some may write a clause 3 that accepts or agree to accept profit or commission, which is allowed only for the chartered accountant in practice. If you write that, that is incorrect. I'm not talking about CA in practice. Remember, not equal to CA in practice. I'm only talking about member of the institute in the clause. There are small differences, but can create a lot of confusion if not paid attention to. Okay, I am only talking about member of institute. I'm not talking about anyone who is in practice or not. So if he is a member of institute, if he is covered by regulation 53A1, 53A3, if you do a profit sharing agreement or some other similar arrangements, perfectly fine. Otherwise, you will be held deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Clear?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Any doubt? Okay. Yes, Megha. So that's why the term member of institute is written. So you have to focus on that, the terms which are there. Okay. Now let's proceed. If no further doubt, let's proceed to the clause number 4. So what we wrote in summary, entering into a partnership with anyone except for CA in practice or specified person. Okay, entering into a partnership with anyone. Now let's see what is clause 4 says that. Clause 4 talks about that if you enter into a partnership in or outside India, not necessarily only in India. So if you create a partnership outside India, it is still you are covered by the clause. With any person other than CA in practice. See the difference in the term. Here the term is CA in practice. The term is different over here than the what we saw in clause 3. So you have to mark these things. that these terms are different, and we have to write these different terms when we are writing the answer. Or such other person who is the member of any professional body, this part, such other person who is a member of any other professional body having such qualifications as may be prescribed. Okay. And then including a resident, but for whose residence abroad would be entitled. So there are some people who are entitled to get registered themselves as a member, okay, whose qualifications are recognized by central government for the permit. There are certain members who can get themselves as a registered as a member, being having a residence abroad outside India. Okay, so those are also covered. And the last one is the whose qualifications are recognized by the central government or for the council permitting such partnership. Okay. So again, CA in practice, member of other professional bodies. Third is the whose qualifications are recognized by the council or central government in this scenario. If you do, that is perfectly fine. You can enter into a partnership. Now over here, if you have noticed, the terminology is slightly different of the specified person. The terminology of the specified person is slightly different. Okay. See for here, whose qualifications are recognized by the central government or council for the purpose of permitting such partnerships, and who is a member of other professional body having such qualification as may be prescribed. If I talk about the earlier clause, what was the thing? Member of such professional bodies. And here, who is a member of any other professional body having such qualification. So member plus qualification together. In clause 4, we are talking about member and qualification together. That's why we have a new regulation in the picture. That is regulation 53B. Because here we are not talking about only membership, we are talking about members plus having qualifications. Okay. And what is regulation 53 about? 53B. Regulation 53B talks about person and qualified professional bodies with whom you can enter into a partnership. So those are basically, if I talk about, so company secretary, he should be a member also. Cost accountant, he should be a member also. Advocate, he should be a member also. Engineer, member of Institute of Engineers or any engineering or any other university or what you can say, any other institute recognized by law. Architect, again member. Actuary, again member. Over here you will see for partnership, I don't have a MBA.
Okay. Yes, sorry. Yes, sir. MBA is not there, and the Bachelor of Technology also is not mentioned here.
Yes. So these are the professional bodies or institutions for which the membership is also required. So membership and the qualification both are there. So that's why we have a regulation 53B for this particular scenario. With them, you can enter into a partnership, or it should be a CA in practice. Okay. So I will write here member plus qualification. Clear? Any doubt?
Yes, sir. Also, okay.
Okay. Now, for this part, whose qualifications are recognized by central government or council for permitting such partnership, this means your qualified person. As per regulation 53A3. Now you will say, sir, you have covered regulation 53A3. So you are having MBAs over here. Yes, if because their qualification has been recognized by the central government under regulation 53A3. So you can also enter into a partnership with them, or regulation 53B, both. So you have both options. Okay. Any doubt in this particular scenario?
Sir, what is the both option means?
That means, for example, if that person is not a member plus having such qualification, but it is covered by regulation 53A3, in that case, you can have a partnership.
But here
So
the
either
53, sir, here the 53B is specifically telling that only the six category of people only we can have the partnership.
yes,
Even the CA member, those who have the certificate of practice only, for him only we can have the partnership.
yes. So where, like, that's why I said 53B talks about members plus qualification, and 53A3 talks about other having such qualifications. So you can have any of them with partnership with them. Like you can, if he's not covered by 53B, then you can check for 53A3. If he's covered by 53A3, you can have partnership with them.
What it's meant, then the 8 people, from the 8 people, can we have the partnership?
Yes. But apart from that, if you have any partnership, even outside India, in that case, you will be held guilty, deemed to be held guilty of professional misconduct. Clear? Any doubt? See, now another part here is I would like to highlight is that this is multi-professional partnership firm or multidisciplinary partnership firm that we talk about. This should be permissible by the regulations that we have, plus also the regulations of other professional bodies. That means if tomorrow a professional body from regulation 53B or 53A3 does not permit a multidisciplinary partnership, you cannot have. You need to have the permission from both of the professional bodies. Okay, so remember that in practical scenarios I'm talking about. Any doubt? Any doubt with respect to clause 4? No? Okay, great. So clause 1, 2, 3, 4 we have discussed. We have discussed regulation 53A1, A3 and 53B. Okay. A1 talks about 5, particularly 5 people or 5, you can say, items. Okay, professional bodies. 53A3 talks about 8. Okay. Then 53B talks about again your 6 particular members and the professional bodies which are enumerated. Okay, so 5, 8 and 6 which are there. So this is how your clause 1, 2, 3, 4 are there. Now coming to clause 5, can anyone tell me what is clause 5?
So secure the business through the service of the person who is not the employee or his partner, other than the open to the chartered accountant.
Okay, very good, very good. There is one more point for that. There is one more thing in your clause 5. Anyone? What is that particular point? What is that particular point which is there in the clause 5, which is kind of an exception to the clause 5? So let's go through that particular clause and discuss. What we wrote: securing professional work through anyone or through any means not open for CA. Now, exception is employee, partner, or the arrangement permissible by clause 2, 3, and 4. We are also adding few things in our summary for your reference. Okay, you add with me that in clause 2, when I wrote specified person over here, I am writing regulation 53A1 plus 53A3. When I'm writing clause 3 specified person, I'm writing regulation 53A1 plus 53A3. And when I'm writing clause 4 over here, I'm writing regulation 53A3 plus regulation 53B. Do not write regulation 53A1 in exam. Okay. So write these things for your quick reference. Now, clause number 5 talks about that, okay, if you secure the professional work through means which are not open to a CA, okay, and if you secure the professional work, you will be held guilty, deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct, except it's your employee, partner, or the arrangement which are permissible by 2, 3, 4. So let's go and understand, in detail. Clause 5 talks about securing either through the service of a person who is not an employee of a charter accountant. So we are first talking about employee. So if you are taking the service of a person who is not an employee. So employee is fine. That means who is not his partner. So partner is fine. Or by means which are not open to a charter accountant. That is very important. Means which are not open to a charter accountant. We'll understand this term. Now, what we are securing? We are securing the professional business. Here, the thing is that we are securing a professional business. That is something we need to highlight and we need to understand over here. That if you secure a professional business, then you will be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. Now, what are the means which are not open to a chartered accountant? How do you define that? Which are the means which are not open to the chartered accountant? Anyone? How do you define the means which are not open to chartered accountant? Can anyone tell me? Like, how do you define what are the means which are not open to a chartered accountant? Like it is written that by means which are not open to a chartered accountant. What are these means? Anyone? No? Okay. So understand the means which are not open to chartered accountant are also defined your under clause 6 and 7 or the arrangement which is there, or apart from arrangement allowed under clause 2, 3 and 4. So that means if you do anything which is not permissible by 6 or 7, that is the means which are not open to a chartered accountant. If you are securing a business by things which are not permissible by 6 or 7, we'll come to a 6 or 7. That means those are the means which are not open to a chartered accountant. Now, if you secure the work under an arrangement which is not permissible by 2, 3, 4, in that case, again, those are the means which are not open to chartered accountant. Yes, very good, Keith. So in nutshell, if you do anything which is against the code of ethics, if you do anything which is against the fundamental principles to secure the professional business, if you do anything which is against the law, technical and professional standards, in that case, you are using the means which are not open to a chartered accountant, because the means only open to a chartered accountant are permitted by code of ethics, are permitted by professional and technical standards, are permitted by law. So you can secure which is permitted by law. If it is not permitted by law, code of ethics, or technical or professional standards, that is means those are the means which are not open. Simple. Okay. So in this particular scenario, if you do anything which is not permissible by 67234, you are already held guilty. You will be held guilty under clause 5 also. Simple. Now, this particular part here, which says that if it is permitted by 234, then it is fine. Like we discussed. If it is not permitted by, then you will also be held guilty over here. But if it is permissible by 234, that means it is also permissible by 5. Okay. So, provided nothing here contained shall be construed as a prohibiting any agreement permitted in terms of 234. If 234 says okay, 5 is also okay. So write it over here that if 2, 3, and 4 says okay, then okay for 5 also. Simple. Clear? Any doubt with respect to this particular clause? So we discussed who is not an employee, who is not a partner, and the means which are not open to a chartered accountant. Now tell me one thing, when I talk about partner, am I talking about CA or CA in practice? When I'm talking about partner, am I talking about CA or CA in practice? Very good, Megha. Yes. Very good, Geet. Some people might write over here that partner, or they might write an answer that okay, who is not a member. See, there is a difference between a member and a partner. There is a big difference between a member and a partner. Okay, we have already seen that who can be your partner. Okay, who can sign on your behalf, and what are the people with whom you can enter into a partnership. We have already seen which are the people with whom you can enter into a partnership. Now see one thing specifically, I'm again re-repeating over here. With whom partnership is permissible? CA in practice. Am I writing member over here? I'm writing other qualifications, company secretary, cost accountant, advocate, engineer, everyone. I have written that, perfectly fine. Have I written member over here, or have I written, or it is written CA in practice? That means, can you do a partnership with a member who is not in practice?
No, sir, we cannot.
Exactly. So your partner cannot be a member. He has to be a CA in practice. Okay. Now, in this case, if I say who is not a partner, I'm by default referring over here as a CA in practice. So this particular part, when I say this is CA in practice, okay, this particular part, the partner, do not write in exam member. So when you will change the term to member, it will be a drastic, blunder. It will be a very big blunder. That's why it's important for you to understand, like, partner, employee means not open. Okay. And over here, I'm talking about chartered accountant in practice. I have specifically highlighted, do not mess up with these terms. Otherwise, it will be altogether something different. A very big issue. These are small things, but can change the definition and the purpose of the clause very big time. And that's where students lose the marks, because things are in the fine line itself. Okay. Any doubt till now with clause
Sir,
5?
Sir, I have one basic question. Sir, why the partner is allowed other professional body, sir? Member of other professional body other than CA.
See, again, there are multiple things. Number one, who can sign on your behalf?
Sir, I'm not talking about the signing, sir. General basic question. The thing is
No, no,
that
no. I'll tell you. I'll tell you. See, that's why the question that you're asking, why other professional bodies are allowed and why the member of the institute is not allowed unless and until he's into the partnership. The reason and foremost first thing lies with the signing. See, as a charter accountant, only a charter accountant in practice can sign. Okay. If you are into a practice, only a charter accountant in practice can sign. Now, even though you have a partnership with a member of what you can say, other professional bodies, they cannot sign because only sign can be done by a CN practice. Number two, now why normal member in practice is not allowed? Reason because of conflict of interest that we will see down the line. Okay, when we will talk about other type of business. Okay, where you need to take special permission and where you need to take the general permission. This whole part one is applicable to CA in practice. Is it applicable to member? Answer is no. In that case, a member can go beyond and get into other businesses also. He can involve in other businesses. If he is a CA in practice, he need to take the permission. So CA in practice has more restriction, so more integrity, more objectivity, and more adherence of the fundamental principle, I could say. And when I talk about only member, there are some relaxation for member. That's why you cannot have a partnership with CA, only CA who is not in practice, because one will have a stringent applicability, one will have a relaxed applicability. It will create a problem. Are you understanding my point? So it's all about the applicability of the particular areas. Okay. If no further doubts, let's take a quick 10-minute break. After the break, we'll continue the session and discuss more clauses. So we have discussed till 5. We need to start a very big clause after the break, that is 6. That is about the advertisement. A lot of things will be discussed. I will take 6 and 7 together because they are almost similar and they have some areas which are common for understanding. So I will take 6 and 7 together, but very big areas are there. So let's take a quick 10-minute break, and after the break we'll start with 6 and 7. Yes. the discussion. Now we are going to take the important clauses. Okay. But before we take some clauses, I would like to discuss some questions. Okay. So that we can have a very good clarity on the topic and the clauses that we have discussed in now. Without practical examples, it becomes difficult to understand the question. And and the more you will practice, the more you will understand how to answer a particular question. Okay, so let's discuss more questions on this. uh, Let me open it up. This- Mm, Sorry for the technical glitch. Let's give me a minute. It is stuck. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Oh, now it's there. So we will go one by one, okay, and we will solve these questions. So the question number one is, Mr. Patel, a practicing charter accountant, has thriving tax consultancy practice. However, he finds it challenging to attract new clients in the competitive market. To boost his client base, he enters into a referral arrangement with Mr. Shah, is a resident of another country, a well-connected consultant. As per the agreement, Mr. Shah would refer potential clients to Mr. Patel, and in return, Mr. Patel would pay Mr. Shah a 10% commission on the fees earned from those clients. Neither Shah nor his firm holds a membership with ICAI or any other recognized professional body. Analyze Mr. Patel's action in the light of CA Act 1949. Pretty straightforward, but remember, pay small details, attention to the small details in the question. So read once again, take a minute, and then try to answer. Very good, Geet. Yes. Anyone else with anything different answer? So most of you have already answered. Okay, Ankit. Good. So what are the answers? I have received a lot of answers by within the minute itself. That's really good. Rest of you, what are the answers? Very good, Mega. Okay, Manish. Very good. Okay. Yes. Now it is correct, Manish. Yes. Yes, Samanathan. Okay. So most of you have already answered. Okay. And you have answered correctly if you have given the clause 2, part 1, first schedule. Okay. Now, again, when you write, okay, you have to write the answer in a way that demonstrate that you, like, it's a there is one specific way I would recommend to write in that, because that brings some more clarity. So you start with the provision first, which is you specify what clause you are referring to. Clause 2, part 1 of first schedule of CA Act. You specify that, okay, this arrangement is basically covered under this particular part, or you are going to answer in this particular way. Then you specify the clause. Okay, you specify the clause as and write a specification or explanation about that. or you write one line about that particular clause that there is for this particular arrangement. Now here, Mr. Patel, he is a practicing charter accountant. He is agreement with Mr. Shah, resident of a particular other country. Now, when we referred our clause number two, we referred that it is not only in India, it can be outside India also. Clause 2 is also applicable if you enter outside India. So it's not restricted to India. So having a resident of another country doesn't make a difference. Still will be covered by clause 2. You need to explain that over here. So here I have a provision, I have an explanation, and then I have a conclusion over here, like whether it is allowed or not. Okay. So in that case, you have to write the answer for a particular question, and your answers, whosoever gave clause 2 is correct. Okay, very good question, Khushi, very good. I have specifically as of now kept outside because of one particular reason. I'll tell you, but as of now you park your question. I'll discuss that in a while. Any other doubts with respect to this question? Any other doubts? Okay. Okay. Again, now let me take. Kushi, your question was why we are not referring clause 5 over here. Because if something is not permissible by clause 2, it will be means not open to a chartered accountant. Why you are not written clause 5, sir, over here? Now, there is a specific reason I have not written a clause 5. Usually, clause 5 will kick in this particular scenario also, because these are the means which are not open to a chartered accountant. And clause 5, if you talk about, it talks about that you secure a business through service of a person who is not an employee, who is not a partner, or means not open, which is also not permitted by 2, 3, and 4. Now, there is one problem over here. Why I have not written is because I don't have information about regulation 53B or regulation 53A3 about the qualifications that are there, like which are the qualifications. So accordingly, as of now, I have not written anything. Here the question says that Mr. Shah is nor holds a membership with ICAI nor recognized professional body. But what about the qualifications? That's why I kept silent. Otherwise, normally you can also write, it's not an issue. You can also write, if you are confused, you can also write clause 5, not an issue. That will also be appropriate, correct. But because of the lack of the information I don't have in this question, I have written or restricted my answer to only clause 2. But if you feel, you can write clause 5 also. Any doubts? So that was your question and the answer. No doubts? Okay. If no doubts, then let's take one more question. Miss Reddy, a practicing chartered accountant specialized in forensic audit, has been approached by a firm, Legal Eagles LLP, to collaborate on a complex financial investigation case. Legal Eagle LLP is not a professional body recognized by the Bar Council of India, nor its lawyers are qualified as an advocate. So neither it is recognized nor their lawyers are qualified as an advocate. Legally, Eagles LLP is registered as a member firm of the International Council of Legal Firms, a non-profit international non-profit organization. As a part of their collaboration agreement, Ms. Reddy agrees to receive a share of fees earned by Legal Eagles LLP on the case where she provides a forensic accounting service. Analyze Ms. Reddy's action in the light of the Chartered Accountants Act 1949. So go through this question, take a minute, and then try to answer. So go through this, take a minute, and then try to answer the question. Okay, so tell me, what do you think about Miss Reddy's action in this particular case in light of the Chartered Accountants Act? Okay, good Mega. Okay, good Geet, very good. Very good, Ankit. Pay attention that it is also registered as a member firm of International Council of Legal Firms. Yes, yes.
Sir, as per clause 3, part 1 of the first schedule to the CA Act, a chartered accountant in practice is deemed to be professional misconduct if he accept or agree to accept any part of the profit or profession. He will be the guilty of professional misconduct. In this case, Mr. Reddy, who is practicing chartered accountant, he received the professional body which is not recognized by the ICAI in the regulation of the 53A, and also the 53A subclass 3 is also the specific qualification is not mentioned over here. Both are not satisfied. Hence, the receiving the fee from this LLP will be deemed to be professional misconduct.
Very good. Yes. See, now again, absolutely correctly said. If we go back to our clause 3, what was the scenario? That if you accept any part of the profits of the professional work of a person who is not a member of institute, okay, or under regulation 53A1, 53A3, then you will be held guilty or deemed to be held guilty of professional misconduct. Okay. In this scenario, here, the firm that I'm talking about, Legal Eagles LLP, although the name has a legal, but they are not recognized by the Bar Council. They are also not recognized as an advocates. So I am, again, that's why there is a specific purpose that neither an advocate nor the recognized firm of the Bar Council, okay, their firm is registered with the International Council of Legal Firms, an international non-profit organization which is neither part of your regulation 53A1 and 53A3. Okay, it is not part of that. Neither of them. So as a result, it is not also a member of institute. It is also not recognized 53A1, 53A3. Hence, you are still receiving. You will be held guilty, deemed to be held guilty of professional misconduct under clause 3, part 1, first schedule of CA Act. Okay. So this is the part. Now, as I said, like if clause 3 is being attracted, can we attract clause 5 also? That secures the work through the service of person who is not an employee, partner, or means not open to CA. Yes, you can write that also. Along with clause C, you can mention clause 5 also. Not an issue. Okay. So if I talk about deemed to be guilty under clause 3 and clause 5. But for that, you need to see one more condition, that is you need to write about 53B, because clause 4, okay, if it is not covered by the clause 4 or like 53B also, then you can write. In this case, we have the information. So in answers somewhere mention the 53B also, and accordingly 3 and 5 both you can write about. Clear? And the answer structure should be PAC, that is provision, analysis, conclusion, the way you need to write. So it will enhance the readability of the user or the one who is reading the answer. Any doubt? No? Okay. If no further doubts, let's proceed and discuss some the next clauses which are there. Okay. So the next part that I want to discuss is clause number 6. In our summary, what we wrote is soliciting client through advertisement. Exception was applying to another CA in practice and tender. These are the two exceptions. Now, what in actual clause 6 says that? Clause 6 basically talks about that, okay, if you solicit clients or professional work, now here the important part is directly or indirectly. So solicit clients or professional work directly or indirectly by circular, advertisement, personal communication, interview, or by any other means. So it is wider in terms. By including by any other means, it will include all of means. Okay, so if you solicit clients and professional work through these means, you will be deemed to be held guilty of professional misconduct. Now, another part of this particular clause is that it allows something. It has an exception in this particular clause. The exception is that nothing contained there shall be construed as preventing and prohibiting for CA, a chartered accountant, from applying or requesting for inviting, securing professional work from another chartered accountant in practice. So, CA in practice, if he invites professional work from another CA in practice, perfectly fine. Important part, CA in practice, not a member. So, write it here, not member. Do not get confused from member. So if you request work, invite or secure professional work from another chartered accountant practice, perfectly fine. Clear? Second, if you respond to tender or inquiries issued by various users of professional service or organization from time to time, securing professional work as a consequence. So responding to tenders. If you respond to tender, if you apply to a CA in practice for professional work, perfectly fine. But otherwise, not allowed. Okay. Now, there are few things that we need to also understand along with this. Okay. Along with this, along with this advertisement and tender and inquiries, there are guidelines issued. Advertisement of activities, there are multiple guidelines issued by the council. So if you do within the guidelines itself, which are given advertisement guidelines and other guidelines, it is fine. It is fine. But if you do anything beyond the guidelines, over there, you will be again held guilty or deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct. So remember, if within the guidelines, then it is fine. Over here, you can write within the guidelines, then fine. Now in guidelines also, I'm talking about you cannot solicit clients and professional works. No, I'm talking about circular, advertisement, personal communication, or interview. So there are guidelines for that, so that they should not become soliciting clients or professional works. So the guidelines are for the circular, advertisement, and personal communication, so that if you do within the guidelines, they will not solicit the client, or they will not be counted as you are soliciting the client in professional work. So the term or the important part over here in this particular scenario is the intent. Always, always remember, we are talking about the intent over here. That means here the specific thing you need to understand is the intent, or whatever activity you are doing, what is the target of that activity? Is the target to solicit the client? Is the target to get the professional work? If yes, then clause 6 will get attracted. Okay, so this circular and advertisement part, if done within basically the guidelines, that will be fine. Okay. But apart from that, you are not allowed to solicit clients and professional work in any ways through advertisement or circular, even through guidelines. Okay. Remember that. Now, there are guidelines for the tender also. If you do anything apart from the guidelines, that is not allowed. So responding to a tenders, I will add conditions apply. Now, what are those conditions? Here are those conditions. These are the conditions which are there for the tender, and these are required to be adhered to. Now, what these conditions says, okay, and very important, we need to understand this. Generally, as per the guidelines which are issued by the council, member can respond to a tender, but only and only if they are open. That means if a tender is exclusive for the areas which are reserved for the chartered accountant, that is audit and attestation service. Okay. And if that particular tender doesn't have a minimum fee prescribed, you cannot. So there should be minimum fee prescribed. Okay. So, however, such restriction will not apply if minimum fee is prescribed and the areas are open for the other professional also, then it is fine. So there are two conditions to this. One is a minimum fee, where minimum fee is prescribed, and where the areas are open to other professional. If these two conditions are there, fine. Otherwise, shall not respond. Remember, you shall not respond if these two conditions are not present. Clear? Any doubt with the tender part? So this is the conditions apply one. Okay. Any doubt
No,
with
sir.
respect
Clear. No, sir.
Yes, Geet, very good. So if minimum fee is not there, or the other part is or if the areas are not open to the CA, like to other professional along with CA, you should not apply. You should only apply when these two conditions are met. So I will write, or you can write with me, apply only when either minimum fees, second, other professionals are allowed. So that is or. So if any of the one condition is satisfied, you can apply. Otherwise, do not apply. That is your tender. Now, along with this, we will understand other guidelines with respect to advertisement, and we will see various scenarios that are there with respect to coaching, with respect to advertisement, with respect to note in press. Okay. So those are given in your page number 19.50. Okay. From here, we will discuss multiple different scenarios. That is some forms of soliciting work which are prohibited. So these are prohibited, and you are not allowed to solicit the work in this particular form. Okay. What are these? First is the advertisement and note in press. Generally, you are not allowed to advertise in in press or newspaper, but there are exceptions also to that. The first point is advertisement and note in press. Now, you should not advertise for soliciting work. That is for sure. We have already seen. But what you can advertise and where you can advertise, if you want, what are the exceptions to this? So these are the following exceptions that we will discuss now. Number one, you can request to a chartered accountant, which is we already discussed. If you are requesting to a chartered accountant in practice, that is allowed. Okay. You may advertise about the changes of firm. You may advertise change of the firm, change in the address of the practicing firm. Okay. Partnerships or dissolution of the firm, changes in partnership or dissolution of the firm, or telephone numbers. Okay, so if you have something similar, like change in the particulars of the firm, you can advertise in newspaper, but that too only bare facts and statement, no further. The thing which is there, that is there, and that too in the service area where your firm is situated. For example, if my firm is situated in New Delhi, I am advertising in Chennai or Mumbai. No. So area of distribution is very important. Okay, and the way I'm announcing that, for example, I'm giving on the front page very big letters. Okay, front page of the newspaper, very big letters, that the phone number of this CA firm has changed. That is the intent that I was talking about, intent. Although you will say it's a bare facts, it's within the area of distribution, so it should be allowed. Answer is no. Yes, Samanathan.
Sir, your firm is situated at New Delhi, but your majority clients is from Mumbai, or some of the clients from Chennai, or on the 25 percentage are from the Guwahati, Gujarat. In that case, if you are giving that notification in that particular region, the Delhi, which will not serve the situation, right?
If your majority of the clients are there in any other region, if you are giving over there, let's say if it's a change in the address, okay, New Delhi address, again, it can be said, okay, this is for the change in particulars. So you have to check the intent. I have to what you can say, I have to justify why in that region. If I have a proper justification with the area of distribution in connection with the bare facts, perfectly fine. Any other doubt? So here you can write that changes in partnership, or rather than partnership, we will write changes in firm particulars. Okay, and that too bare facts. Very important. Changes in firm particular, that too bare facts, not more than that. It should not be like, okay, for a continuous 1 month on the front page, I am giving that the firm's telephone number has changed. That is advertisement. So at the end, you have to check for the intent also. So this point, another chartered accountant in practice professional work, that is already done. Next stage, if you are also allowed to permit issue a classified in the institute's journal. So there is a journal and newsletter of institute. Over here you can give, fine. Okay, for sharing of professional work. So over there it is fine, it is perfectly fine. So you have to provide the details which are there permissible, and accordingly you are required, you can seek the professional work over there. That is fine. So newsletter of institute, perfectly fine. Otherwise, advertisement in note and press, not allowed. Only 3 exceptions: CA in practice, change in firm particulars, and institute's journal. Okay. Second, application for the empanelment or allotment of audit or other professional works. Very important. So whenever there are empanelments and professional works, empanelment is there over there, can you apply? Can you apply in those empanelments? Okay. Now, if you know there is an empanelment, you can apply. If you are aware about that, you can apply. Simple. The rule is that existence of such panel is within the knowledge of member, he is free to write. You can apply. Perfectly fine. However, if you do not know about the empanelment and still if you will apply, it will be counted as a roving inquiries. Okay. So, knowledge of panel, if I say yes, then apply. If I say no, and if it's still you go, then it will be called as roving inquiries, which is not permissible. You are not allowed to then apply. Clear? Okay. Responding to tenders, advertisement, and circulars. See, tenders part we have already gone through. Responding to tenders, that two conditions that is there, done. Okay. Advertisement and circular. Responding to advertisement and circulars. If there is an advertisement, if there is a circular. So again, the question comes is two part. One, minimum fee, which should be there. Second, it should be commensurating to the the thing which is there. And second is the areas open to other professionals along with the charter accountant. If these two things are there, fine, you can apply. Otherwise, you cannot apply. Okay. EMD deposit or security deposit. See, there are certain government assignments or engagements where you are required to provide security deposits. Okay. If they are justifiable, like there are guidelines which is for each and every tender, what are the deposit and what is the amount. If they are justifiable, fine, you can if you can do it. Otherwise, if they are beyond the understanding, then it is not fine. Okay. Publication of books, articles, or presentation, very important part. Most of we ask about, like, is it publication of book by a CA in practice is allowed? It is not. Publications of books, article, and presentation, it's not allowed. Okay, where you have mentioned professional attainments. Okay, where you have mentioned professional attainments, where you have mentioned you are a member or your firm name, where you are associated, about your background. No. Okay, so if you are mentioning professional attainments, member or the firms of charter accountant, and details like you are associated with, not allowed. Not allowed. Exception, however. Okay, so let me do it in the red. That is not allowed. Okay, however, exception to this is you may write a book, article, presentation where only designation of a charter accountant is mentioned or name of the firm. Apart from that, if you are adding professional attainments in the book, no, you cannot. So you cannot mention professional attainments in the book. If you are mentioning only designation charter accountant and the name of the firm, just a name, that is fine. You can have that in book, article, or presentation. Clear? Okay. So we will write designation of CA plus name allowed. Otherwise, other things are not allowed in your book. Issue of greeting cards or invitations. Now, can you issue a greeting card or invitation? Usually you cannot, but there are certain scenarios where you can mention your firm's name or designation as a charter accountant. Okay, what are these? If I talk about designation as a charter accountant, you can mention it on the marriage invitations, religious ceremonies, invitation of inauguration of office of members, change in office premises. If these are the things over there, you can mention, fine, name of charter accountant and the name of firm can be mentioned. Designation charter accountant and name of firm can be mentioned. That we have seen. So you can issue greeting card or invites for that, but provided that are issued to clients, relatives, and friends of the member. It should not be issued to prospective member, general public. Okay, so allowed if issued to clients, relatives, and friends with designation and name of firm. That's it. Otherwise, not allowed. Okay. Then we talk about advertisement in the newspaper for celebrations. Now we already covered advertisement, but this is one more advertisement type of advertisement that is about celebrations. So here it was advertisement and note in the press for change in firm particulars. But here we are talking about advertisement for completing the number of years which are there. It is usually not permitted, but having said that, you can publish about silver, golden, or diamond or platinum celebrations of a CA firm in newspaper with you need to consider that how it is presented, how it is there in the newspaper. It should not be on the first page, grand advertisement to attract or solicit the clients. Remember that, always remember, it is the intent that you have to see. Although it may be allowed, but you need to at the end see the intent. The advertisement for silver, golden, and diamond, platinum celebrations, fine, may be published. But about other events organized by CA firm, not allowed. So if you are organizing a seminar, you cannot publish it. If you are organizing workshops, you cannot publish it. Advertisement for the silver, golden, and diamond, these celebrations, first page for continuous 1 month in a big bold letters. It is intent is solicit the client. So always focus on the intent beyond the words here. Sponsoring activities. Sorry. What is sponsoring activities? Sponsoring activities means, let's say, some activities are going on, some cricket match, some football match. Over there, advertisement comes sponsored by, or the boards have your name or logo. So in that case, can you sponsor? Strict no. Strict no. But where can we sponsor? You can sponsor only program conducted by the ICAI. So if it is a program conducted by program organizing unit of ICAI, firm can sponsor. Okay. Provided you have the approval. So with the approval, you can provide the sponsorship of the firm, of the programs or the events conducted by the program organizing unit of ICAI. Otherwise, no sponsorship. Okay. Second, can you mention your details of firm or any other details on the CSR events? If there is a CSR event, charitable events, non-profit events, can you mention your firm details on that? It's not a sponsorship. You are not paying an amount to get the sponsorship of the event, but it's a CSR related. Can you have your details over there? So your name with a CA prefix is only allowed. Individual name with CA prefix on the CSR is only allowed. Apart from that, nothing is allowed. So to summarize, sponsor only for ICAI event and name with designation for CSR. That's it. No firm name. Firm name logo not permitted. Okay. Okay. Advertisement of teaching and coaching activities by member. Very important again. So when I talk about member, that is a member in practice, because this particular member is there. So the member engage in teaching and coaching activities. Can they advertise their activities? Number one, the question comes is, are they allowed to conduct teaching and coaching activities? So the answer lies with the regulation 190A. What is regulation 190A? We will see in another clause as of now. Clause 11. We will discuss clause 11, regulation 190A, whether it is permissible for member in practice to do teaching and coaching activities. As of now, keeping permissibility aside, let's say permitted by clause 190A. As of now, we are not discussing permissibility, keeping permissibility aside. So whether they can advertise about the teaching and coaching activity if it is permissible to conduct, answer is no, because an advertisement of the teaching and coaching activity will amount to indirect solicitation. So you cannot do by any other means. So this will be indirect solicitation. Okay, if I talk about right now about my CA firm in practice, it will be an indirect solicitation. I cannot do that. Okay, so advertisement on coaching and teaching activities, no, straight no. Amount to indirect solicitation, not allowed. Simple. There is no ifs and buts. You cannot have hoardings, posters, banners, any other means. Okay. So no advertisement of teaching activities. Any doubt till now? So there is one question. If the program is conducted within the firm, is such internal circulation of the program permitted? Do such activities require approval from ICAI? Internal circulation within the firm is not an see. The intent of the clause is to solicit the client and professional work. Are you soliciting the client or professional work by doing internal circulation within the employees? Having professional work within the employees is already permissible. We have seen. Over here, we have already seen that is if like clause 1 itself, like it is allowed employee.
Yes, sir. Class 5, it's we can secure the business through the employee or the partner who is engaged in that partnership firm. We can secure business.
So all the clauses from 1 to 5, if you go through that, it allows the employees. Employees can be there, like we are allowed. So internal is not something a problem as of now. Okay, but external, yes, it is. Any other doubt, like advertisement and of teaching, coaching, or anything we have discussed till now?
But in front of the coaching center, they can display the board stating that these classes are held over here. They can do that. So,
see, that is a board. That is not advertisement. Yes, so they can put outside the board. Board is allowed, but it should not be advertisement in like hoardings, banners, or any newspaper. Even a like simple board outside their coaching institute about the subject, fine, but again subject to regulation 198. That's why I'm not discussing further. We will discuss more on to regulation 198 and clause 11 on that. What is permissible, what is not. Okay. Sharing of a firm profile with prospective client. Can we share the firm's profile with the prospective client? No,
sir.
Unless and until it is required or it is asked by the client. So you have to justify that the client asked it. So if the proposed client has a specific query, you can share. In response to that, if he asked, you can share. Otherwise, you cannot share. It is not permitted to share firm's profile with the prospective client. Okay. Then television and movie credits. Again, it should not be differentiate. Like you can mention the name and the charter accountant. So name and designation can be there. Name, your name, firm name, that can be there. So name and designation can be there, but it should not be made in such a way that it should be advertisement. So that is we are talking about again intent. You need to take care of the intent. Okay. Then soliciting professional works by making roving inquiries. Any which ways, we are saying it's a roving inquiry. It is not permissible. Directly, not permissible. Because it's a roving inquiry.
Roving means continuously asking, right?
Continuously asking without knowing that whether they need professional work or not. So roving inquiries is kind of, without any intent, without any information, you are just making inquiries. Yeah. Okay. Seeking work from professional colleagues. Again, we have already discussed that part, that how you can, whether that is basically allowed, that from charter accountant in practice, you can, seek the work and all the clause that we have discussed. Okay, then scope of representation which an auditor is entitled to make under section 225. Now, that is old section, that is now is 144. Okay, scope of representation which an auditor is entitled to. Now, what is the scope of representation? See, when you are basically, either appointed or reappointed or not being appointed, you are given an opportunity to represent. Okay, representation is kind of, where the auditor has an opportunity to talk about the audit report, the audit process. Okay, in that case you cannot utilize that particular process or that particular right to advertise your professional attainments, to advertise something about canvassing about yourself, that okay, I am the best, I am the number one, or something like that, which is kind of an advertisement. The right of representation is not the right of advertisement. Remember that. You can write over here that right of representation not equal to right of advertisement. That means you cannot use this opportunity to advertise or solicit other clients or other professional work. Okay. That was your scope of representation. Then comes the acceptance of original professional work. Like if someone has referred you the work, okay, which is coming from a member, which has been introduced to you by another charter accountant. Okay, if that work is coming from that, can you accept another work or other work also? Okay. Now, in that case, generally, you have to inform them that, okay, this is the professional work which is coming to me, and accordingly, you should not basically accept unless and until you inform, kind of. Okay. So a member should not accept the original professional work that is coming from a client which was introduced by another member. Otherwise, it can count as a poaching, that I'm poaching other members' client, other CA's practice in client. Okay, it should directly come through him only. So poaching should not be done. So you can write no poaching.
Sir, with respect to point number discussed earlier, the representation given by the auditor, this is during the course of audit, while he the representation during the general meeting, or while the retirement, after retirement, the soliciting the work or professional attainment is a guilty of professional misconduct. In which context it's talk about, sir?
Basically, over here, you can consider both. I'll tell you why. Here we are talking about during the general meeting. Okay. But let's say after general meeting, through any other means, if you do, that will also be covered by clause 6. So any which ways, if you are using that particular opportunity or any opportunity to advertise, it will be covered by clause 6.
Okay, during as well as the after.
Yes. Okay, so when a notice is being given for the, that retiring auditor is not being reappointed, okay, and like at that point in time, retiring auditor has a right to representation. But let's say, for example, not in that right. But if there is any other way, or if there is any other area where you are representing, or you have a right to provide some information to the company after even retirement or after being not appointed, okay,
Okay.
in that case also this will get applicable. Clause 6.
Okay. Okay. Wherever there is a chance for the representation, he should not request for any professional. He should not mention any professional attachment to secure the business.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Now, next is giving public interviews. Are you allowed to give public interviews? Yes, you can. But care should be taken that it should not be equal to advertisement or soliciting. So you should not, do a publicity of your professional attendance. You should not, provide that, okay, I am the best in the public interview. You should not do that. The intent should be only the public interview, not the advertisement. So you are allowed for the public interview. Interview is not equal to advertisement. Remember that. So here we will write interview should not be in form of advertisement. Okay. If the intent is that advertisement, you are gone. Only provide factual details which is asked. Okay. Response to specific questions and the factual details only. For example, if it is being asked, what are your opinion on this particular judgment? Provide the factual details. Do not say that I have experience of these many years. I have done these many clients, and on the basis of that experience and the client and the knowledge that I have gathered over the years, this is my opinion. The first few sentences that you spoke or I spoke was the advertisement. So this is not something allowed. Hmm?
Sir, I have one more question with respect to, sir, during the office opening ceremony, say example, I known to well minister, one of the minister I known. Is a friend and relatives, we can invite the card, we can give, no. The advertisement is not possible. Can I invite such a minister to come and open my office?
Now there are two things on that. Number one, is the minister friend, relative, or client? If yes, you can invite. Number two, you need to take care of that when you are inviting. Okay, you can write chief guest, and that card and circulations happen to the friend, relatives, and members. It should not happen that this information that the particular minister is going to come, okay, is being circulated within the whole city. So if that circulation happens, and if the that circulation happens, that means more people will come. You have a more invitations. So invitation should be only to the client, friends, and relatives, and information should be restricted to that.
Yeah, right, sir. That's what I'm asking. Okay, only we are going to circulate only the relative, friends, and the well-known people only, not to others.
Not even well-known clients. So clients, relatives, and friends.
Yeah, only clients, relative, and friends.
Yes. Okay. Any other doubts? Okay. Then the next point is members or firms who publish advertisement under the box number. See, any which ways, any form of advertisement is not allowed in the newspaper unless they're specific ones. Even with the box numbers, like PO box number or something like that. Again, that is not also that is also prohibited because it's an advertisement. Educational videos. Educational videos, like for example, short videos, Instagram reels, or YouTube shorts, YouTube videos, can they upload? Now, you might have already seen they are there, but having said that, you should not make a reference to the CA firm. where you are a partner or proprietor. It should not contain any contact details or website address. If you do this, fine. If you are not mentioning, if you are not containing details, fine. Educational videos may be uploaded, but without the details, without the name of firm. So videos without the contact and name of firm. Okay. Otherwise, not allowed. It will be a violation of clause 6. You will be deemed to be held guilty of professional misconduct under clause 6. Clear? Any doubt?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So, sir, I have a doubt. My firm is which is in indirect taxes. So it has a YouTube channel on with the firm name only, and it uploads indirect taxes GST related some updates by the my principal. So who is a chartered accountant as well. So in that case, whether it is violation or not,
Yes, because
it
it's
is in the form of like CA firm name only, no?
no reference is required to be made to the CA firm, and it should not contain any contact details. Otherwise, it will be kind of an advertisement.
Okay, sir. Got it.
Any other doubts? Any doubts? Okay. So that was your basically clause number 6 about the advertisement that we discussed. Okay. Clause number 6 about the advertisement. Various forms of advertisement we have discussed. Various forms of circulations and all these things we have discussed. So those are not allowed. Okay. Now next we will discuss on the similar lines, that is clause number 7. Clause number 7 talks again about the advertisement. Now here in clause number 6 we were talking about advertisement of the to solicit the professional work through any means. Over there it was soliciting the professional work. Now here only advertisement. Now the intent, like you may not solicit the professional work, but if you do advertise the professional attainments without having an intent of soliciting the professional works, you can be held guilty. So let's go through the clause. Clause 7 talks about that if you advertise the professional attainments, now this is the part very important. Professional attainments, services, use any designation, expression other than the CA on professional documents, visiting cards, letterheads, signboards. Okay, in that case, you will be deemed to be held guilty of professional misconduct. Now there is an exception which says that unless it's a degree of a university recognized by a central government, a title indicating membership of the institute or any other institute, okay, of the institute or any other institute that is recognized by the central government or may be recognized by the council. So if it is a degree, fine. If it is recognized by the central government, a degree recognized by the central government, fine. Title indicating membership of institute, other professional bodies, fine. If that is the case, you can mention. So basically there are two things only which are allowed. That is, one is your degree and second is the title indicating membership. You can use these two things. Otherwise, you cannot use any other designation. Okay. Now, if you do, you will be held guilty of professional misconduct. Now, we will discuss one important section over here. Okay, we will discuss one important section over here, very important part. This section is about using the designation of a chartered accountant. Using the designation of a chartered accountant. Okay. Now, basically, what happens and which designations you are allowed to use and which designations you are not allowed to use, that we will understand. So we will go back to, let me take you back to the page number, and we will provide a reference and then we will discuss over there. Okay. So come to page number 19.33 of your study material. Okay, 19.33 of your study material. Over here, we will refer a section known as Section 7 of the CA Act. Now, Section 7 talks about members to be known as a chartered accountant and what designation they can use. Okay, so every member of institute, okay, like in practice and otherwise, may use a designation of a chartered accountant, and no member using such designation shall use any other designation. So section 7 first of all bars you from using any other designation or description in substitution or in addition to the CA. Now what that means? Okay. So basically what happens is, what is the designation, what is the suffix and what is the prefix, we need to understand that. So just let me take you to the notes and where I will explain you what we meant by suffix, prefix and designations. Okay. So let's say my name as of now. Okay. Mr. XYZ. Let's say this is a visiting card. Okay. Over there, you have below your name, chartered accountants. Mr. XYZ, chartered accountant. And then you have the phone number and email. That is your visiting card. Okay. Now, this particular part is known as the designation. Now, let's see one more type of visiting card. Here, with a name, I have a CA XYZ chartered accountant. And rest of these things are same. Now this CA, this term, this CA that I'm affixing over here, sometimes is known as the prefix. Okay. Sometimes it is known as a prefix, or you can say description also, but as of now, remember as a prefix. Then third type of card that we will see. You have, let's say XYZ, then in brackets, sometimes people write ACA, if he's an associate member, or FCA. He may write LLB. He may write CPA, something like that. Okay, they write in brackets after the name, and then they might have chartered accountant. Plus, if you write, let's say for example, we'll extend this example. We have written chartered accountant and corporate lawyers. This is on your visiting card, and you have the rest of the details. Now understand here, this particular part, suffix, or you can say this are the memberships and degrees. So ACA denotes the membership, LLB denotes the degree, but the CPA over here is a problem. Okay, we will come to that why CPA is a problem. Okay, now this particular charter accountant is a designation. The corporate lawyer designation along with the charter accountant is a problem. Okay, sorry. So the corporate lawyer designation along with the charter accountant is a problem. Section 7 specifically says that you cannot use any other designation. But on the similar lines, Section 7 allows something also. What Section 7 allows is, Section 7 says that there is nothing prohibiting, like Section 7 prohibits use of designation, perfectly fine. Okay, you cannot use any other designation. However, you are not prohibited from adding other designations or letters to the name if they are the membership of any institute of accountancy, okay, or if there are any other qualification. Okay, so if those are the things, then fine. Otherwise, this is not fine. So if you are adding a membership to which you are entitled to, now Institute of Accountancy, whether in India or elsewhere, which is recognized also, it has to be recognized also, in that case, it is fine. Or if you are adding any qualification that you possess, okay, in that case, again, fine. Otherwise, you cannot use. Now, what are these qualifications and membership? So in our example, ACA is a membership, LLB is a qualification, but CPA is neither a membership, neither a qualification, which is recognized as of now.
Sir, however, the say example CPA Ireland is recognized. We have the MOU with them, and the England, UK also the CPA is approved. So in that case, we can put that CPA as a qualification.
See, CPA is not a degree that is recognized. You can show a membership. When I talk about the membership, it becomes ACA, FCA. So you have associate or fellow membership of the institute, and they are pronounced separately, like they are written in a different way. But if you have denoting the membership which are recognized, fine. But CPA generally it's not a membership. Okay, so term CPA or using CPA in front of your letters also, let's say CPA CA XYZ, is not permitted. You should not also use other designations like corporate lawyers, like cost accountant, like company secretary along with charter accountant. Okay, so Section 7 specifically prohibits that to use those things. Now, can I use the designation of a director? Okay, can I use the designation of a member of a political party? What do you think? Am I allowed to use the designation of a director?
Director not allowed, sir.
Absolutely.
Director is not a goal. Sir, I have one doubt on this. See,
Yeah.
when we talk about the section regulation 190A, there is general resolution they provided. The holding public elective office such as MP, MLA, and MLC. The charter accountant can have that position. See, if he is elected as a MP, then how he will put in that MP in his visiting card when he is a chartered accountant?
See, as of now, you can enter into the business or the profession which are allowed, but advertising on your documents, on your visiting cards along with the designation of charter accountant, that is not permissible. Both are different. There is no bar on being a director. Be a director, but do not advertise.
Which means the person can create a separate visiting card for that purpose, for CA purpose, separate visiting card. Is that allowed?
No. So once you are using, so that's why, the again second scenario comes is, I can extend the concept of, importance or significance of COP. So once you are representing yourself in the position or in the in the capacity of a chartered accountant, you cannot represent yourself in any other capacity. So if you have a card where you are CA already, you are using the designation, you should not use any other designation. You cannot say for this purpose of visiting card, I am not a member of institute. No, you cannot. You cannot take away the membership of the institute by having separate visiting card. That's why it is not allowed.
Sir, which means as soon as we entered that membership in the CA Act, we are bound to be behave and act as a CA. We should not act as any other professional. This is what you are trying to say.
Yes. So if you are a member, if you are already, using the designation, if you are using that capacity, you are not allowed to use any other capacity.
See, my question is that see, after becoming a CA, the person who possesses the certificate of practice also, he won the MB election. See, in the situation, how he can put his MB position?
Sorry, what he wants to do? Your voice was not clear. I'm really sorry for that.
Sir, my question is that, see, after completing the CA, he possessed that COP. COP all possessed. He is a chartered accountant. He is found to be the CA Act 1949. See, after qualifying CA, got the COP. Now he is put the name as a chartered accountant. That is at destination. Now he won the election of MP. Now he is a member of parliament or MLA. In this situation, how he will put this the MB position in that visiting card?
See, in that case, again, we will discuss this particular part when we will discuss about the what you can say, the allowed professions, allowed things you can do. Now the thing is, regulation, you need to refer to the regulation 190 in this particular scenario. Can
Sir,
you be
sir, 190A is allowed, sir. Holding a public elective office such as MP, MLA, and MLC. This is a central permission is
yes,
granted. In
yes.
this case,
So
I am asking the specific question.
So in that case, if you hold, you are allowed to hold public elective offices of MP, MLA, MLC. That is fine. But are you using this designation along with the designation of a chartered accountant? The question is that.
Sir, in this case, I am asking you how to prepare that visiting card. He is having that COP also as well as the MP position also. How to represent it in visiting card?
You cannot represent because it will be a conflict. Like in that scenario, you cannot visit, you cannot specify MP on the visiting card because it will be a conflict with the section 7. You are using any other designation along with the designation of a chartered accountant. That will violate, that is going to violate section 7.
Yeah, fine, sir. Thank you.
So if you are trying, like, if is there any way to circumvent section 7, answer is no, that is not. Any which ways it is going to violate. If you are going to use any other designation, you cannot. That's a straight no. In that case, you can only use the designation of chartered accountant. Okay. Any other doubt? Any doubts? No. So there is one doubt. Okay, no doubt. Okay, clear. So as we discussed, like section 7, which talks about using professional attainments, using designation other than chartered accountant. This is in line with your clause 7. Clause 7 says that if you advertise your professional assignment or use any designation or expression other than CA on professional documents, you will be, like, held guilty of professional misconduct. Now, even if I talk about the public office is not a degree. It's not a title indicating membership. I cannot use it. Okay. So other designations like income tax consultant, cost accountant, company secretary, cost consultant, management consultant is improper to state. You are not allowed to state those designations along with the designation of a chartered accountant. Okay. Now there are certain designations which you can mention. Okay. For example, as you were saying, CPA Ireland, where you already have the recognition of the council, or South African Institute of Chartered Accountant. But over there, you need to mention the membership, not the CPA term. You have to mention the membership of that particular, that institute. Whatever the term is for the membership, the way we have ACA, whatever the term is, you have to mention that. And again, can you mention, specifically, I will reiterate, you must not use the definition of MP, councillor, or other functionary in addition to a CA. Else, discard the CA, do not represent yourself anywhere CA, and represent as a member of parliament. Okay. Now, can you use the designation of insolvency professional or registered valuer? If you are an empaneled member, yes, you can. That is, I will, say as an addition to that, you can mention insolvency professional or registered valuer along with on your letterhead, okay, on your professional documents. So this is allowed. Remember that it is not prohibited, it is allowed. You can mention on your visiting card and letterheads if you are a empaneled member. That is very important. Okay. Any doubt? So similarly, you cannot mention advocate, you cannot practice as an advocate. We will see in again regulation, clause 11, regulation 190A. You cannot practice as a company secretary along with the chartered account, being a chartered accountant in practice. So we will see that what is allowed, what is not allowed. Okay, you are but not allowed to use these what you can say designations along with chartered accountant. Okay. Can you mention date of setting up of practice on the letterhead? For example, since 1949, since something, whatever the date of practice is there. Okay. Can you mention that? Answer is no. You cannot mention, should not be mentioned. Date of setting up of practice by member, okay, on letterhead and other professional documents should not be mentioned. So date of setting up of practice is not required to be mentioned. Do not mention it. On letterhead and professional documents, not to be mentioned. Remember that. Again, like advocates, company secretary, everything we have discussed. Mention of firm name, except on the professional documents. So we have seen like a lot of things in clause 6 where we cannot mention firm names. So that is same as clause 6. So refer clause 6 for firm name. Notice in press relating to success in examination. Okay. You can give that notice perfectly fine in press for success of examination. However, there are some restrictions. That is, you cannot publish that in relation to the like it is intent should not be publicity. It should not be that like you are article or audit assistant or employee of this particular firm whom you have served. Okay. It should be for the local newspapers. If you are going beyond that, it is not allowed. Okay. It is discouraged that you should not be publicizing beyond your local jurisdiction. Okay. And you need to only and only restrict your details like address, school, local background, examination pass with details of any price. Okay. But beyond that, if you publish anything kind of publicity for the firm, it is not allowed. So this is allowed basically. But beyond that, if it is getting publicity, is not allowed. Again, in chartered accountant and electronic media, we have discussed that in clause 6 itself. Organizing training course seminars, again, same. We have discussed in the clause 6. So refer clause 6 already. That's why I said most of the things are common. Writing articles or letter to the press. We already covered it in clause 6. Signboard. Signboard should be, you can put up the signboard. Not an issue. But signboard should be appropriate, limited. It should not be glowing lights or sign something, like very big hoarding. So simple signboard, I would say. Simple signboard. That's it. Nothing beyond. Okay. Then again, public announcement with the details of directors. In that case, like if there are prospectus or if there are certain documents where your name has been mentioned because of specialization, again remember that it should not be kind of advertisement. It should not be kind of advertisement. Always focus on the intent. So that is the related to the use of designations. Use of logo. Now for the use of logo, I will discuss one important guidelines which are there, the logo guidelines. Okay. There are the revised logo guidelines that are required to be followed. So let me open, go to the revised logo guidelines. Minute. Oops. Sorry. Yeah. So with respect to the revised logo guidelines, okay, what you are allowed basically and what you are not allowed. So common logo guidelines, there are common logo guidelines with respect to you, the logo that you can use, the tricolor new logo which are there, which was issued in 2023. Okay. So that is the common logo you need to use with the tricolor. You cannot change the color of the logo. You cannot actually change any other aspect of that particular logo. You are not allowed. You are not allowed to use any other logo also. Okay. So the logo which is required to be used is a tricolor logo. That's it. If you use any other logo, that will be kind of violation of clause 7. So do not use any other logo apart from the common CA logo. And also you are not allowed to change the color, the orientation, or you can say basically the, like a lot of things. So let me, it is sorry, taking time to open it up. Yeah, here it is. So this is a new CA logo which is there. This is the one, new CA logo with the colors. Now, can I change the colors? The answer is no. So you already have these color combination. Like this is this which blue color is there. So you have been given, for example, these are the colors which are used in the logo. You have a specifically, codes given over here. So you need to use these codes or these colors basically. Apart from that, you cannot use any other colors. Plus, you cannot, like change the background. You cannot change the color. You cannot rotate like this way. You cannot crop. You cannot add anything or, distort the font. It is like the way it is there. That's it. You cannot even remove this India. like otherwise it will be a cropping. Okay, so these are the things which are required to be taken care when you are using the logo. This is how the card should look like. Your logo over here, name, designation, and this the thing. And if you want a logo behind. Do not alter, or you are not allowed to alter logo in any way. In any way. This is a new logo. This is required to be used. Some might say, sir, can we use old logo still? This one? No. Straight no. There is only one logo, the new logo. You cannot use the old logo. Okay. So these are the logo guidelines. You need to use the new logo. Do not alter the logo. Simple, if I talk about, use the logo as it is. Use the logo as it is. That's it. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt with respect to clause 7? So we discussed clause 7. Any idea how has created new logo? Can you, Samanathan, can you specify, be more specific on the question? Like what is the question?
Sir, I'm asking who has created the new logo, the design, all these things. Any idea? Definitely our ICAI, any particular person is not for interest of the examination.
I'm not sure actually on that. Like who finalized and who created the design?
Okay, sir.
Any other doubt? Any doubt, guys? Okay. Before we close today's section, I want to highlight few things. Okay. Number 1, you have to revisit the clauses that we have discussed. Second, read the clauses which are going to be discussed in the next session. Number 3, ma'am in the start has already iterated about the quiz, brainstorming one. Please participate in that. Please participate in those quiz. That is really helpful for you. That will really help you out in the preparation also. Okay. And number 4, practice. That is, you have to write question by yourself also. Write the question, check your answer, whether the wordings, the way answer is given, is your answer also on the similar lines or not. Just coming to the lecture, watching the lecture, reading is not enough. Till the time you don't have a writing practice, it will be a problem, because again, understand that within the given time frame you have to write the answers, and for that you need practice. So do not take it lightly that I will not practice, I will just read. No. Have writing practice. At least, try to, I'll give you an example. Let's say if your subjects, divided on days. What I used to do is at my time, I used to divide the 8 subjects on various days. And in that case, what I used to do is for each subject, I used to write at least one question each day. For example, today is the audit day. I will write one question. Now the subjects are less compared to earlier. I would say at least try to write 2 questions daily. Not daily, but on that particular day. Or in a week, at least, have a target of writing 3-4 questions for a particular subject. So that by the end of the sessions, by the end of the preparation, you have a very good writing practice. Okay. So yes, any doubts?
No, sir, but class number 6 and 7 has a lot of information in it.
Yes, and these are very big clauses, but always remember, if you want to understand in nutshell and the summary, always go for the intent. Intent is do not advertise anything, do not advertise and do not use any other designation other than the charter accountant. That's it. If I talk about the nutshell summary of the 6 and 7.
Right, sir. The essence is very clear now.
Yeah. Any doubt? Any other questions? No? If no further questions, I would recommend to keep the lecture till here and we will continue in the next lecture. So thank you guys. Thank you for participating in today's session and lecture. I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yes.